Well, first of all, let me say good afternoon to members of the media. I know that 2019 is, when I say just begun, we're just about, I guess, at the end of January, and 1 month of 2019 is going already. But certainly, I think I've called this press conference today to clarify some things about the bus schedule. Certainly, I was away for a week in January with my family for about 9 days, my wife, my daughter, and I. And I noticed that in the weekend paper, the Shadow Minister of Tourism and Transport, the Honorable Leah Scott, says, "What's up with the new bus schedule?" And some of the words that she used to describe the new bus schedule, she almost implies that the minister, the director, and myself is in some kind of cahoots over this new bus schedule. We have been 17 years trying to get a new bus schedule. We are so much closer today than what we were 17 years ago. So for the shadow minister to imply that, that some kind of conspiracy or something is going on between the ministers and the director and myself, because the paper even contradicts itself. Because up in the paragraph right underneath the minister, the director, and my name, they talk about that we haven't heard since January 21st, and the deadline has come and passed. Then you go in the article, and it speaks about the delay, the 21st of January, and it says the new effective date will be forthcoming. So it was clear that the January 7th date was not going to be met by the DPT. Mr. Todd called the union in, we had the conversation, and he says he wanted to delay it to the 21st. We agreed to the 21st. Naturally enough, when it was presented to the membership, I think it was on January the 9th, it might have been on Wednesday evening, the membership had a chance to look at some of the rosters, because they hadn't had a chance to see them before that. And there was a number of rosters that had multiple nights in them. We won an arbitrated award in 2005 when management tried to get the members to work multiple nights. The ruling in 2005 says it's one piece of night work. So at least 10 of those rosters out of the 80 rosters had more than one piece of night work. So the workers decided at that particular meeting that Brother Criswell got a problem. The problem got even bigger than that. And I said that to the media when I got a chance to just clarify it before I left to go away on that Friday. And the clarification was that, first of all, at that meeting on the Wednesday night, the members had decided, they put a motion to the floor, that they was going to reject the rosters outright. So they weren't even going to work the new rosters. And it was only that I insisted to the members, the union bargains in good faith. We said we cannot at the 11th hour now tell the ministry, tell the department that as a result of, had second thoughts now, we're now not going to work these new rosters. That's not the correct thing to do. They listened to the advice that I gave them, so they made a new motion that we go back and fix those 10 or 12 rosters. You do that, and we'll work the new rosters. So for the MP to imply that, something's up, we're at the finish line. We're right there where we need to be. So for her to imply that certain things is going on, nothing's going on. We had, and I'll just tell you briefly, I had a meeting with the minister yesterday, along with the PS, the director, along with our team. I can't tell you what was discussed, but all I can tell you that we made some progress. You will hear more about that from the department, hopefully over the next couple of days, in relationship to the new bus schedule. Any questions about the new bus schedule?
Yes, good afternoon.
Sure.
What was the initial problem with the rosters?
The initial problem, I just said it. They had more than one piece of night work in them. It was at least 10 rosters that had, I'll give you an example. Roster number 52 probably had 4 nights where the individual was knocking off at anywhere after 9:15, and his last piece of work he is finishing at 12:40 in the morning. That was clearly in violation of the arbitrated award of 2005. And we found a number of other rosters that had similar problems like roster number 52. My understanding from Brother Brent Harvey, who sits on the perusal committee, even though I thought it was 10, he said it was 2 extra rosters. So it was actually 12 rosters out of the 80 that had a problem that we had to fix. That is currently being fixed.
Ms. Scott recently alleged in a story by my colleague that a Canadian consultant had been involved in the negotiations to create a new schedule and a new roster. Is that person still involved?
Well, what I can say to you is that the director is still working with that individual, not as much as they were before. I know that basically they were working with David Reed several years ago. I'm not sure whether it's Mr. Reed or whether it's someone else like Mr. Reed who's still involved in trying to tweak the new schedules, because certainly a lot of work has been done by the management team and the Pools Committee over the past couple of months on the new rosters. I can tell you that.
And the new schedule was set to start yesterday, is that correct?
The new schedule was set to start the 21st. Initially, it was scheduled for the 7th of January. We moved it from the 7th of January to the 21st of January. We had the meetings with members on the 9th, and then we had the other delay that the member said, we've got a problem with these rosters, Brother Chris, and we need for you to go take a look at them, and that's what we've done.
I don't want you to just step ahead of the minister. When do you think this roster will come into effect?
Well, I just said to you, that, you know, I don't want to get ahead of the ministry. The ministry will hopefully make an announcement in the next couple of days about the new rosters, because they're still doing a bit of work on them. Exactly how much more work, I have no idea. I can tell you that we met yesterday, and the ministry or the department will make an announcement hopefully between now and Friday. They should be making some kind of announcement.
Would you consider this a win-win for the workers, the government, and the public?
Well, when you say a win-win, remember now, if you look at the changes that's happening to these current rosters, and in speaking with the members on the night in question, we had the meeting on January the 9th, is that, you know, it's life-changing for them as it relates to, you know, what they've been doing for the past 10 or 15 years concerning these new rosters. So certainly, as I said to them, this is an interim rosters that we've come up with in the respect that the department has seen a need to go from 104 rosters down to 80. They've seen a need to go from, you know, either between 60 or 75 a bus schedule down to 50 bus schedule. They can more or less guarantee that they can have 50 buses running. And based on that, that's what caused the problem with condensing all this work. Remember now, you got 104 rosters, you know, condensed all that work into 80. So you can imagine the problems it's going to create. So as a result of that, as I said to the members, it's only about doing an MOU for the next 12 to 18 months. So give the management team a chance to get the bus schedule or get the bus fleet up to scratch to where it needs to be, whether it's buying some new buses, whether that's 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 new buses, and making sure over the next 18 months that we do those sort of things, that we're not going to be stuck with these rosters for the rest of the time that they're going to work at DPT.
Good afternoon.
Sure.
When the press conference was held in December that you and the minister and representative from DPT were at, had your workers at that point seen the new bus schedule?
No, they hadn't. They had, you know, my understanding is that the rosters were posted for a period of time, and you know, I guess it was incumbent upon the workers to go and take a look at them. When I had the meeting, we've had 2 meetings. We've had 3 meetings. We had 1 meeting here, and we had 2 meetings at with the workers, right? And basically, you know, some of the workers said we got to come clean. The rosters were posted for that 4-week period or 6-week period between, I guess, I would say maybe the 1st of December or late November to early December, and you know, only a handful of operators went and even looked at the roster. So to be fair, everybody dropped the ball. We want to talk about the management team. We want to talk about the ministry. We want to talk about the work. Everybody dropped the ball. So recognizing that that was done in great detail once we was able to get the rosters and then there's actually seeing how it's going to impact them, that's what raised the red flags.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, when you said there, everybody dropped the ball, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to as far as making sure that when we look at the time frame for getting everything done, when we look at making sure that the management team do their part and making sure that the posting is done correctly, making sure that our members have, because it's 3 picks that's got to be done. So naturally enough, as a senior person, I go have my pick. I want to make sure that it's correct. And then before you move on to the next person, that senior person's got to be satisfied. That's how the roster picks work.
So was that press conference then in hindsight held prematurely?
No, it was not held prematurely. No, it was not. You know, the director and the Pools Committee felt that, you know, what they heard was something that we can work with. And as a result of that, you know, it was our understanding that they had addressed the multiple nights. The problem came because the management team had defined night work starting after 10 o'clock. So that's where the gray area came. The gray area came right there. And I told Mr. Torr, first of all, you can't make the decision that night work starts at 10 o'clock when you got an operation that's starting at 6 o'clock in the morning and now 10 o'clock at night after running all these hours now until my night work starting at 10 o'clock. When in 2 hours' time, the operation's going to shut down completely until the next day. Night work has to start a lot more reasonable time than that, and we've agreed in principle, night work should start between around 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Sure. And just so I'm clear, so have your members now voted in, comes with 10 routes, is that correct?
It's about 10. I think it's 12 in all, but let's say 10 to 12.
Have those been rectified now?
What I can say to you that most of them have just about been rectified. This will be presented back to the membership probably one day next week. And once it's presented back to them one day next week, we believe they'll accept them.
And if your members do accept that, then it becomes on the ministry government side to figure out when that's going to go into place?
Yeah, absolutely. Remember now, if the workers agree in principle next, let's say we have a meeting next week Tuesday, there's a 21-day cycle for all that picking to take place. So if we're able to put the new rosters up by whether it's the 4th or the 11th of February, remember now, it's a 21-day cycle, 21 days from the time they're posted. So whatever date it is that they're posted, that the management team finished with, correcting the 10 or 12 rosters, the membership agrees one day next week, then we go ahead and we're making sure we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's because, like I said, it's been 17 years, and right now we're pretty close to the finish line.
Okay. And just if I could kind of ask a clarification on something that Trevor asked.
Sure.
The new schedules, are they in the best interest of your members as you see it?
Well, I would say to you that there is some compromise and negotiations is about give and take. So the workers are sacrificing a bit right now over the next 12 to 18 months doing these new rosters, and we recognize that as I said to them, it's something that has to happen right now because the sacrifice has to be made. And it's not something that if those rosters now were going to be the rosters that was going to govern DPT for the next 10 or 20 years, then I could see the concerns. We've said that we want an MOU drafted for 12 to 18 months. So after 12 to 18 months, the perusal committee and the management team in that 12 to 18 month period is working on what those rosters are going to look like after this period is said and done. Well, remember now, people are probably knocking off a bit later than they used to. So if I have a roster right now, let's just say I'm knocking off at 7 or 8 o'clock, or whereas my old roster I could be knocking off at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of them are people are knocking off maybe an hour or two later. So right now I have a life that's built around my normal knock-off time. Now for the next 12 to 18 months, that's going to be a change. I gave you the example of a roster 52. When we look at that one. That one had, somebody in roster 52, that person had one piece of night work that finished at 12 something. All the other nights they were off by 6 o'clock. So now here you are 4 other nights, I'm knocking off at 9 something. So that's a huge effect on that individual, and that's just one roster. Okay? Certainly, the other comment that I would like to make, I know that last week, I'm not sure which day it was, this concerns the new airport redevelopment project. And I've noticed with great pains, and I say it respectfully with great pains, because the opposition leader has been on the news a number of times speaking about the airport project and speaking about the jobs that created and a number of other things. And let's just be clear, because I think that somehow or other Mr. Kenner and the One Bermuda Alliance and some of the other people in the media will have you believe that we've always been against the airport project. We've always been against the cost of the new airport project. The cost that ACON, and I heard Mr. Nacon in front of the cameras the other day, and the union has a philosophy, and basically it's a philosophy that if you start wrong, you end up wrong. This deal was all started out the wrong way, because when you pretend to be somebody else, I can't pretend to be Ottawa Simmons, I'm Chris Furbert. So how do I now play off to leave my country and go away and say, you know what, I want to use your identity when I go away? So from day one, when they came to Bermuda in that early spring or whatever, it says, I want to go to Bermuda, and I need to be able to do certain things under the guise of being somebody else. So now, because it looks like we're going to get a finished product, we should figure out about everything else that's going on. The way how they put this deal together. We can't forget about December 2nd, 2016, how people were pepper sprayed. We can't forget how this is my description, how in 2017, like thieves in the night, they got into the House of Assembly to pass this bill. And that's a fact, that's what they've done. And now you're trying to play it off like, the PLP are like a bunch of hypocrites now because the minister was down there for the roof bed and whatever. Well, let's just rewind the clock back a little bit. Because my understanding was that the hospital project was started on the PLP government. It concluded under the Urbay government. And I know that the minister, shadow minister then, Bob Richards, had some issues about the PPP for the hospital project. But 2 years later, his government's done there with for the roof carving or the opening ceremonies for the hospital. So we have to be very careful how we use this tongue-in-cheek thing that the premier was trying to play. That we got some hypocrites going on around it, because who's more hypocritical than the opposition leader? Who? When we talk about Jackgate, when we talk about all the things that he is involved in as a former premier of this country, but people want to give him a pass. Even the media, you all gave him a pass. Nobody took him to task on what he was saying. Any comments? Anyway, you know what? To me, it is what it is. The government understands that, could the minister handle the situation a bit? I can't speak for the minister. But certainly, I don't want people to forget what happened on December 2nd. I still don't want people to forget that we're still going to pay for the airport for the next 30 years. The government's revenue that are lost over the next 30 years is still there. Those things have not changed. Even though we're going to get a new product that's finished now, we're still going to pay for it for the next 30 years, and that's lost revenue for the government, and we can't lose that. And no matter how Mr. Canada tries to downplay that, that's money that's going out of the government economy. It's going, and we're not getting it back.
Yeah, one more issue. I don't know if you could speak about it. Your trade union Congress fellow compadre Bermuda Electrolyte Company that a meeting we will be out today about the
Ascending Group?
Yeah. No. You can't speak about
No, me. No, sir. I'm the president of the BIU.
You say your trade union fellow colleague, but no problem. Believe it.
No, I think that, travel to be fair, give them a chance to do their business first before anybody else can make a comment about what needs to be said about what's transpiring. All I saw the news last night where the Ascending Group has decided that they're putting the company up for sale. That's all I know. I don't know anything more than that.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Sorry, if I could just get back to the airport for a second. So you had no problem with that front and center photo op then and the roof wedding ceremony with current government cabinet members? That didn't seem hypocritical to you at all? That was not problematic for you?
So does it become hypocritical because it's PLP? No, I'm asking the question.
I was asking you.
No, I'm bumping the question right back to you. Does it become hypocritical because it's PLP?
Well, because it was a project.
I'm sorry, but you won't get me to take it any further than that. We can't just be one party that's being hypocritical. It don't work that way. It works both ways, sir. Has to work both ways.
Right, but we're talking about the airport, which is what.
So they invited the minister. Should the minister not have went on there? Is that what everybody's saying? Should he not went on there?
I don't know whatever.
All right, fine. Well, why don't you go ask the minister, because I can't speak for the minister, and I'm not going to speak for the minister or any minister of the government. I'm not doing it.
Minister, I'm asking you to speak for you.
Speak for me?
Yeah.
About what?
About that photo op and whether you thought it was at all hypocritical that members of the government that had been.
Well, let me just say this to you. Mr. Canada has described it as being hypocritical, right? The people of this country decided in July 2017 that they wanted a change in government. They voted out the ABA government because of the way how they were behaving. They gave the PLP a clear mandate of 24 12 seats, since which they've got picked up extra seats. It's now 25-11. If that's not a clear mandate for the government to manage, and based on, I guess, what happened in December 2016, based on how the people protested against this airport project, understanding that the government has changed now. So I guess the government today is now going to decide exactly what they're going to do to make sure that they're making sure they're the government. The minister saw fit to go down there to represent the government of the day. That was his call. That was his call. Whether that's hypocritical or not, that was his decision.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.